I'm Sam Short from Short Marine, and I'm here with Eric Sorensen.
Hey Sam, how you doing?
Good.
Good to be back.
It is good to be back. It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
Eric spent, 25 years in the US Coast Guard and the Navy. He spent the last 20 years consulting to all the leading boat brands in the US and around the world. And he's an author of his own book, Sorensen's Guide to Powerboats. So when he comes down here under, we try and rinse out every little bit of knowledge we can from that big cranium of his. The number one thing that either prevents people getting into boating, or if they end up getting out of it or have a negative experience, it ends up boiling down to how confident they are coming into the dock. So what we thought we'd go through today are the top few things that you want to consider when berthing a boat.
Well, that's a good point, Sam. Really important to understand how the boat's going to behave around the dock and why. So the first thing you want to do is decide, am I going to go port side to the dock or starboard side of the dock? And then the next thing is to put out your bow line and the stern line and the fenders on that side, so you're all ready to go when you get in there. And then you can determine what's the wind and the current going to do to me. Is it going to push me towards the dock, or is it going to push me off the dock? Because that makes a big difference in how you make your approach.
That's right. When you're approaching the dock, there's only really two scenarios that you need to prepare for, and if you get really good at mastering those two approaches, then you should ultimately be pretty comfortable. And so we'll start with getting blown off the dock, which is the harder of the two.
Okay. And
you can talk us through how we should approach that from a boat handling and maneuvering perspective. We're about to back into this berth just behind us here.
Since we're being blown off the dock this way, you're going to take the bow line, you go up there, and as soon as we get the bow close enough to the dock to safely jump on and hold the bow in, that'll be a big help. So there we go. We're going to approach on the upwind side of the dock. I'm not going to head right for it. I want to keep the speed on as I approach the dock. If you go too slow, it's really easy to lose control. So we want to have the boat swinging into the dock, and we want to use the momentum to carry the boat against it as well. So here we go. And then as soon as I get the headway off, Sam can jump on the dock. Get the bow line tied. And when he has the bow line tied, I can pivot on it and bring the stern in. The stern is real easy to control with the engines when you have twin engines. Port is going ahead and the starboard is the stern, and it'll walk the stern right over. Okay, we're parallel to the dock, the bow line's out. We get the stern line out and we're all set.
Man, Bob's your uncle.
So now we're going to make our approach into the slip with the wind blowing us onto the dock. And in some ways that's easier than making an approach with the wind blowing off the dock, because the wind can do some of the work for you. The challenge that we have is to get the boat into the slip all the way back in position before we go up against the dock. So you want to make sure the bow doesn't get ahead of you. So the way we're going to do this, I'm going to stay close to this boat right here, and I'm going to keep the sternway on again. I'm going to keep moving back. And as soon as I get the beam of the boat or the side of the boat towards the wind's going to start catching the bow. Now my job right now is to get the boat back into the slip, all the way back in position before the wind takes my bow and pushes it against the dock. And I want to take my time. The only thing I really have to do now is use the engines to keep the boat parallel to the dock, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm getting into position, I'm getting the engines back where I want them, so that when it lands on the dock, it's even and we're all set. So it's a much more relaxed way of doing it rather than trying to hit the dock exactly as you're backing in. Let the wind push you in the last few feet.